Do you play games? I've loved playing games for practically my entire life. I basically consider everything a game. Actually, right now I consider this a game. A game of whether or not I can capture your attention and hold it long enough to make sure you don't notice 5 minutes have already passed. Let's see who wins. Did you know that the average American has at least one game on all devices? According to a study released by Electronic Entertainment Design and Research on September 11, 2018, 67% of the United States' populace has at least one game on all devices, with adults taking up about half the percentage, 164 million to be exact. This is in the US alone. Imagine how many other people are on their phones right now, playing games across the whole world. According to a study released by Newzoo Games and Esport Analytics and Market Research, about 2.5 billion people worldwide are playing games right now, at this very moment. The number of people increased at the rate of 9.6% every single year. Imagine the possibilities. I just so happen to be one of those billions of gamers, and well, I've had my fair share of epic fails and respawns. High school is a very wild game, and it's been fun ever since I decided to play. It isn't as if I had a choice though. At the beginning of high school, I wasn't very confident in myself, so I decided to play a game with my self-esteem and confidence. I forced myself to join multiple clubs and meet new people. With every new person I met and every new activity I did, I got more daring, even in classes. With every level I completed, my actions became bigger and bolder. But you know how the saying goes, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. My epic fail moment came somewhere around the end of my freshman year. On that day, my ego won the game, and I worked hard to recover from that loss. Fortunately for me, I was given a chance to respawn, but sometimes once you lose, you have to restart the level, and I was grateful that I didn't have to. I had people who backed me up, and people who gave me a chance to fall back and lose myself, because I know they would always pull me back. After I acknowledged that, I knew I won the game of confidence and self-esteem, because I was confident enough to know that I will always have friends behind my back. With the people present around me, I don't need a game to overcome fear and pressure, because I have them. We all have the innate instinct to be afraid of the unknown. We find different ways to cope and see reality through different glasses. However, with the right people, you don't need a game to fight your self-doubt. When you find the right people, it's game over because you already won. Looks like my time's almost up. So, did I win our little game?
The one thing that I remember the most about being a kid was playing outside. Whether it was riding my bike or playing tag with my cousins, I always enjoyed the time spent having fun. I also remember that I was a clumsy child, as most kids are. I was more uncoordinated than the average 6-year-old. I tripped and fell often. At the end of every single day, I managed to scrape my elbow, my knees, or even sometimes both. 6-year-old me thought these injuries were the worst pain a human could possibly experience. As any 6-year-old would, I cried and I ran up to my parents, hoping they would do something, anything to make this pain go away. Of course, my parents asked what happened and if I was okay and tended to my cuts. Then they said those two familiar words. Stop crying. Make no mistake, I was clumsy, but I wasn't stupid. I'd concluded that my parents said this because the sound of a 6-year-old crying isn't the most harmonious thing in the world. In the years to come, the memory of these scars lingered. They lingered so often and so consistently that 10 years later, I wished I could go back in time and explain to curious, clumsy Larry what was going on. I wish I could help him understand that my parents telling me to stop crying was just one of the many instances where I was told to suppress my emotions. Why, you may ask? There is a simple, grounded, and scientifically supported answer. Because I am a boy. And boys can't cry or be sensitive. Boys are supposed to be strong and tough. And if you're not strong and tough, you might as well find some howly hellhole to work in. Now don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong about being masculine. Of course there isn't. Men are given the freedom to be as masculine as they want, and that freedom is never denied. When was the last time you saw anybody criticize a man for mowing the lawn, playing baseball and other sports, or going fishing? But like all great things, masculinity comes with challenges. There is a mythical force that only some in our society believe to exist. It's called choice. And this force tends to mess with those who want masculinity to be upheld, whether it be for their husbands, brothers, employees, friends, and in my case, their sons. Yet I understand the motivation behind my parents or any parent's desire in watching their son to grow up to be the perfect image of tomorrow masculinity. Who wouldn't want to be a skilled fisherman, a strong-willed leader, and a symbol of strength in households? But I ask the question, does this mean that skilled fishermen can never fail to provide? Does this mean that strong-willed leaders can never express emotion? Does this mean that the strength of a man can never waver under any circumstance? I wish 6-year-old Barry was given the freedom to cry, to wail, to let out all the pain he felt. Where does the pain go if we keep it in for so long? Where does the pain go if we cannot let it out? Where does the pain go if we pretend it doesn't exist? The pain turns into a force that creates the opposite of an honorable, respected, tomorrow man. The force created is toxic masculinity, which can be defined as being unable to accept or take advice from anyone else, using forms of violence to assert dominance or power over people, and of course, avoiding the expression of emotion as an attempt to avoid seeming weak. I wish I could go back in time and heal 6-year-old Barry, curious, clumsy Barry. Since then, I haven't learned to fish, I don't play baseball, and I'm definitely not the strongest guy in my grade at school. And while I haven't met the qualifications for the ideal tomorrow's son, there are reasons why I don't call my past self weak, pathetic Larry. The reasons why I don't call my past self weak or pathetic are I have plenty of people in my life who show me what true strength is. My best friend, Alea, who despite all odds managed to learn how to adjust and thrive in life here on island. My little brother, Giovanni, who always finds ways to pick himself up after he cries. And most especially, my mother, who continues to provide for my family, support my family, nurture my family, and love my family for who we are and who we grow into. And I've grown not into a fisherman, not a baseball player, and not a symbol of strength. I've grown into a kid who spends late nights finishing up assignments, who spends countless hours giving their all into Mount Carmel's amazing theater club, and who stresses about making their family proud in a TED Talk. To this day, I still trip and fall. But I don't tell myself to stop crying. I tell myself to start healing. Thank you.
There's a story about a Spanish explorer, Hernan Cortez. You probably know him through your history classes as the guy who conquered the Aztec Empire in the New World. Did you know that when he came to Mexico, he brought with him 600 Spaniards, 18 or so horses, and 11 boats? And once they arrived, this is what Cortez told his men to do: burn the ships. Now keep in mind they were in a completely new territory, and these ships were their only way back home. So when Cortez told them to burn these ships, and they did, that signaled a point of no return. It was either they die right there, or they persevere and win. Now, something similar like this happened to me. I didn't literally burn a ship, nor did I go out to conquer a vast empire. In fact, I didn't even voluntarily burn my figurative ship. I was forced to make a choice. I was forced to transfer to a new school. Though no ships were burned in my case, schools were closed down, and I had to adjust to a whole new environment and make new friends. Oh, and this happened to me twice. When I was 5, 6 years old, my first grade year, I went to this school, the Dara International School. I don't remember much thanks to my fantastic memory, but I do remember it being the only school, I think, with a swimming pool. I remember I didn't want to swim in that pool because I was a shy kid. Not that much has changed. But I do know that I told myself back then I would swim the following year. But guess what? It closed down and I didn't get to swim in that pool like I planned to. Fast forward to almost a decade later, and I closed down another school with my bare hands. Okay, maybe not, but I transferred to the school Mariana's Baptist Academy, hoping it will help me excel academically. It definitely had a reputation of winning various competitions, and I really thought I was experiencing the most out of my middle school and high school years. But for some reason, the school was lacking in students. Soon enough, it closed down after spending my junior high and my freshman years there. Then I transferred to another school. This is like the fifth school I've ever been to. I guess my ability to destroy schools is too strong, so sorry in advance. But anyway, I transferred to Mount Carmel School on August 13, 2018. I was 2 days late. I didn't really want to go to the school, but what other choice do I have? Yes, at first I had a hard time adjusting since I was shy, and I usually won't talk to you unless you talk to me first. I had different classes with my actual grade, and Typhoon U2 happened. For a long time, I wanted to go back to the closed down school of MBA, and it took pretty long for me to really adjust. But in the end, I did. I was able to experience the fun of pep rallies, and at the same time, the hell of this school's mock trial program. Die right there or persevere and win. Hernan Cortez, together with his 600 men, chose the latter and conquered the Aztec Empire. They burned their ships and went down in history for doing so. They accomplished things that they probably wouldn't even have done had they had a choice to go back home. I wouldn't be here presenting my own TED Talk had I stayed in MBA or even Ladera. I wouldn't have accomplished the things I have accomplished or experienced the things I've experienced without those ships burning. It was thanks to the fact that I had no other choice but to stay. Hernan Cortez told his 600 men what I'm telling you today. Burn those ships. Who knows what success that might bring. Thank you.
I'm sure that you have this cool person in school and you just want to be like that person. Let me tell you a little bit of what happened to myself. When I was in third grade, I hated this kid in school because he was so cool and I was just jealous that he got all the attention. I used to stay up all night wondering to be cooler than that kid. Then one day, my mom said I could be cooler than that kid if I read long and challenging chapter books like Harry Potter. At first, I thought she was just saying that to entice me to read, but I gave it a shot anyway since I had nothing to lose. Once I started reading Harry Potter, I became more and more fascinated on all the creatures and spells that I have never ever seen or imagined before. This fascinating experience facilitated the growth of my reading interest and abilities, which served as a diving board for a diver to jump into the ocean of books in many different forms. I mean adventures, fictions, non-fictions, sports columns, cartoons, etc. The books became my friends and teachers. They never held secrets from me and they provided the answers to about 75% of my questions. My three personal favorite books are Harry Potter, Elmer's Scholar, and Ship of the Dead. In Harry Potter, Ron, who isn't even the main character. In Elmer's Scholar, Elmer, and in Ship of the Dead, Magnus are my favorite characters. These characters became my favorites because they decided to make a conscious effort to stop copying other people and to be true to themselves. This enabled them to discover their natural and inner talents that they already possessed. By seeing these characters' growth patterns, not only taught me why I should be my true self, but made me appreciate the true value of reading. Just be yourself. Most importantly, keep reading because it'll always teach you a wonderful lesson like it does for me. Unfortunately, it makes me sad to see people act like a clone of this cool person in search of coolness because I know that they have not discovered their inner talent and perhaps they may never find them. It is like these sad people may never find a true place in life for themselves that is unique and comforting to who you really are and what you truly enjoy of being. Sure, you can use a cool person as a role model, but he or she should not represent the complete picture of yourself because that simply isn't you. As a matter of fact, it probably won't make you happy to live another man's life because that just isn't who you are, nor what you like to be. Instead of wasting time in faking or lying to yourself, it is a lot more productive when you start discovering your natural and inner self. Who knows? You might even be cooler than the person you're trying so hard to copy after. Until you try relentlessly, you'll never know. What a shame if you never even give yourself a chance. As far as I'm concerned, there's no need to fuss just because that person appears to be a wincy bit cooler than you are at the moment. Through reading, I learned the importance of being my inner self. Just be me, like no others. But at the same time, I know that to achieve great things, it takes time. But fortunately, I know that I have a lot of time to make myself get there. And it starts right now for me without further wasting my time. I ask that perhaps you should also join me in this meaningful journey together to discover our true selves. Besides, the coolest thing is being yourself. Thank you for listening to my speech.
Hi, I'm Maya, and people might know me as Maya, Amaya Grace, or the girl that's always smiling. But let me just tell you, it takes a lot to keep this smile on. See, everybody goes through their own problems, and I personally have been through a lot in just the past few years. I moved places, lost some people, and went through some family hardships. But keeping a smile on shows me just how strong I can be, and knowing that I got through those problems makes me smile even more. So my challenge today for you is to keep smiling through these photos I'm about to present. It's pretty easy, right? Depression. Today's world rate of people who are mentally depressed are very high. There are about 264 million people of all ages that suffer from depression. Death. Sadly, there's an estimated rate of 150,000 people who die each day. And according to studies, a person dies every 12 seconds. Impoverished. Out of the 15 million children in the United States, 21% of those children live in families with low income. See, poverty can affect a child's emotions, learning ability, and also behavior. It can also contribute to poor health and mental health. Devastating disasters. More than a year ago, a Category 5 hurricane hit the northern Mariana Islands, also hit the Philippines, South China, and Caroline Islands. It left devastation. Families lost their homes, students lost their schools, and people were starting to struggle financially. People were struggling to get water, food, and supplies to rebuild their homes. So, are you still smiling? Well, why did you stop? Well, what if I showed you different pictures, but for these photos, you can't smile? See, these are kids smiling. Smiling no matter what they go through or no matter what place they're in. Friendship and relationship. This means that we are never alone and we always have someone to go to. The birth of a child. This is the beauty of life. The smile after the storm. This is a reminder that we can always turn negative things into positive things. So, are you still smiling or are you not? Ask yourself that. My point is that there's always something to smile about, even when times get rough. Even when we can't see that light at the end of the tunnel, we just have to keep going and never give up until we see that little peak. Because once we get out of those problems, we can say that we went through that and we got out of it. And we can smile because we stayed strong. And that's the beauty of a genuine smile. And this is why I smile. And I will forever be proud of the girl that's always smiling. Thank you.
English poet and scholar John Donne once said, "No man is an island." And he's right. What makes Saipan Saipan is the love and bond shared between its families and friends from ever-evolving traditions. What makes Saipan Saipan is our community. And I've known this for some time because There were a few times my family would visit Saipan when we lived in the States. Seeing family, blazing days spent swimming, and breathtaking sights were just a few of the things I loved saying hello to and dreaded saying goodbye to. Then, one day my parents announced we'd be moving to Saipan. I was ecstatic. I'd always get to see my family who lived abroad, swim all day, and practically live in paradise, which is what I did for the first 2 weeks I was there. That's when I realized I didn't have much or anything in common with my family, that I can't go to the beach every day, and there was no turning back from this place. I told myself I was deserted. I was stuck. I had the nerve to believe that in the face of a gorgeous new beginning, I was alone. This led to my rocky but huge learning and growing experience at school. I made okay friends. I laughed occasionally. I impressed teachers. I managed to learn. But I had off days. And as the months went by, I had more and more of these off days. My friends were never quiet. The adults around me babied me. And there was nothing to do on this island. I couldn't figure out where the negativity buried itself. At school, within my family, or within my friends. I was either a know-it-all or an ignorant American, overly passionate or mute, too much or too little. It seemed that nobody understood me or what I did. I felt alone, useless. Nothing could bring light to my world. I dreaded every day. And if you thought I couldn't get any more stupid by looking our island in the face and calling it a tiny, useless rock in the Pacific, you're wrong. I possessed the ability to look authority in the face and say whatever I wanted to. My past self found facing the highest form of authority at my school to be a walk in the park. This Alea didn't break a bead of sweat at the thought of disrespecting one of Mount Carmel's most respected educators. Maybe you've heard of him, or seen him around the island once or twice. I had the nerve to disrespect president, director, master, mock trial coach, political analyst, filmmaker, Jedi father, mentor, TED Ed advisor, Dr. Galvin De Leon Guerrero. But looking back, I am so glad I had the nerve to do so. My self-nurtured toxic thinking led to a conference with my mom and the president of my school regarding my disruptive behavior in his class. I waited at home for her return, along with my sentencing for my crimes. Then she came home and relayed words I never thought I'd hear. He said he couldn't imagine what you're going through. And there it was. 8 words from my mother's mouth that reminded me that I wasn't alone, that nobody is ever alone. Those words forced me to do something that I hadn't been doing. Be honest. I admitted that the source of my off days was me. The volume of my friends, the chastising I received from adults, and the bleakness of my days were actually my friends laughing together, my mentors trying to reach out to me, and my inability to see the beauty of progress. It was my fixed mindset that spawned my feelings of negativity towards everything I had to face. I had to find the courage to tell myself once again, there is no turning back from this place. I am not alone on this island. I can only be stuck if I do not pick myself back up every time I fall. Over time, I turned into someone who wasn't afraid to laugh out loud, a hard worker, an imaginative foreigner to the island. I had to change my mindset to create my own gorgeous new beginning. I hope that you always remember that you're never alone in all that you seek out, whether it be a spot on the varsity team, a better job, or a new beginning. Use the power of the people in your life to keep you going. Use the power of friendship, of family, of love, and most especially, the power of you. I learned that no man is an island, even if you live right on one. In fact, it would be wrong of me to even call Saipan just an island. That is because I can now say I live with my friends and family in paradise. Thank you.